Shalom, shalom. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, his brother Aliyah, New Line Congregation, right, Israel, right. So today, right, early morning meditation, right, we get into get understanding, right. And it's not going to be a long lesson, right, through the Spirit, right. We're going to get into something to meditate on, right. However long the Lord got us here, that's how long we're going to be here, all right. So go ahead and present my screen so y'all can see. All right, so we're gonna go to this right here. This is the book of First Thessalonians. Matter of fact, I'm gonna change my seats. Stop that seat. Let's get this right here. All right, cool. All right, book of First Thessalonians. All right, chapter 2, verse 4 says, "But as we are allowed of God to be put in trust with the gospel, right? Even so we speak not as pleasing men, but Yahweh which strive our hearts." Right? So the Lord has put us in trust with the gospel, right? He has put us men that's out there laboring, doing the works, right? Being sincere, being diligent, teaching the people, right? Letting them know who they are according to the Bible, right? The Lord put us in trust of the gospel, right? So we cannot be out here in the spirit of pleasing men, right? We gotta be trying to please Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because He's the one that tries our hearts. Right, He's the one that we gotta that we seeking salvation from, that we seeking we seeking salvation, covering, protection, life, everything from Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We need Him, right? So we don't need to be in the spirit of pleasing man, but we need to be trying to please Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? So boom, we got that pre. So let's go to the next one, right? The book of Sirach, chapter 22. Right? What's the book of Sirach, chapter 22, verse 13. Make sure that's what I'm looking for. No, that's not it. Right? We're gonna start at verse 14. It said, no, we're gonna start at verse 13. It says, talk not much with a fool, and go not to him that have no understanding. Right? Beware of him, lest thou have trouble, and thou shalt never be defiled with his fooleries. Right? Because a lot of us, right, when we go to people, right, we go to people that's in not more so people in truth, but a lot of our family members, they tend to go to people that don't have no understanding. Right? People that don't have the wisdom of how about Shemel Shah. They seek advice from little Pookie. Right? They seek advice from little Ray Ray. Right? But they'll never seek advice from the Lord. Right? They'll never beseech the Lord. Right? Call upon Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Right? They're seeking things from man. Right? And a lot of men out here are foolish. Right? They don't even know what's going on. Right? They don't know about keeping the commandments. They don't know about keeping the high holy. They don't know about that. So a lot of people, right, are more so fools in this thing. But as a wise person, wise man or woman, right, we are not to seek understanding from a fool. Right? But let's keep reading. It says, I'm gonna jump down to, what is heavier than lead, and what is the name thereof but a fool? Sand and salt and a mass of iron is easier to bear than a man without understanding. So it says sand and salt and a mass of iron is easier to bear than a man without understanding. So you don't want to be a man of with no understanding, right? And how do we get understanding? We get understanding through the precepts, right? But if you're a man that doesn't have any understanding, right, you're a fool, right? You're a hassle to be around, right? You're unprofitable, right? It says you can bear heavy lead, right? You can bear mass of iron, but dealing with a fool, right? A man without understanding is tough, right? It's nerve-wracking, right? And you don't want to be a man that falls inside this category. So the best thing to do is to get understanding, but we get understanding through the precept. Right? Let's go to the book of Psalms 119. We can go to verse number. Start at. Let's start. It's all of this mean, right? But we're gonna start at this in verse 99. It says, I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are meditation. I understand more than the ancients, because I keep thy precepts. So since I understand more than the ancients, I understand more than my teachers, right? Because I'm testing he said in one verse, he's saying, hey, because my testimonies are because thy testimonies are meditation. Right? In the next verse, he's saying, because he keep the precepts. Right? These things involve understanding, right? Meditating on the testimonies you have about Shem Yahushua, right? And keeping the precepts. These things give you understanding, right? And this way, David was able to have more understanding than his teacher. Why? Because he was meditating on the testimonies, right? He had more understanding than the ancients. Why? Because he kept the precepts, right? Keeping the precepts, right, is how you get understanding in this thing, right? That's how you get understanding. When you're not keeping the precepts, then you start to move like this kind of person here, right? This kind of person, which would be a fool, right? It says, I'm gonna keep going on. It says, as timber girt, as timber girt and bound together in the building cannot be loose with shaking, so the heart that is established by God's counsel shall fear at no time. A heart, I ain't want that. Let's go to verse 18. Pales set on a high place will never stand against the wind. So a fearful heart and imagination of a fool cannot stand against any fear. Right? That's a good one too. But I want something else though. Because this whole chapter, man, is going into what it's like to be a fool. Right? It's beautiful through the spirit, right? We'll go to let's start at verse 7. Let's read this right quick. It says, whoso teach you a fool. Oh, dang, that's mean too. Dang, that's mean too. But yeah, you can't even teach a fool, man. Right? You can't even teach a fool. Right? A fool is not even worthy of being taught. It says, whoso teaches a fool is as one that glueth a potsherd together, and as he that waketh one from a sound sleep. So when you wake somebody from a sound sleep, what happens? Usually a lot of times they get agitated, right? They be aggravated, right? They kind of disgruntled, right? Because they were just in a sound sleep, right? And that's a lot of times that's what it's like when we're teaching a fool, right? Sometimes we on the highways and byways, right? We run into these kind of people, right? But you yourself don't want to be a person like this, because basically saying there is no profit in teaching a fool. Right? There's no profit in that. And sometimes we could be unprofitable. We could be in a situation that we can't be taught when we're being a fool, because we're not keeping the precepts, right? Because we're not meditating on the testimony of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. When you meditate on the testimony of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you meditate on the precepts, the commandments, keeping the commandments. You put yourself in a situation where you can be taught, where you can get understanding, right? But when you're a fool, right, and you kind of block the understanding because your mind bad, right? It says, he that telleth a tale. No, that's not what. But that's cool. That's beautiful. So all the joint go hard though. But we'll go to this one right here, verse 11. It says, weep for the dead, for he has lost the light, and weep for the fool, for he wants of understanding. Make little weeping for the dead, for he is at rest. But the life of a fool is worse than death. So it says the life of a fool is worse than death. Right? A lot of things come with being a fool, right? A fool, let's go to another precept on that. You know what I'm saying? And a fool can get themselves in situations where they can get smacked up, right? Call for strokes. Let's get this right? It says, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 6. It says, a fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calleth for strokes. So a fool could get himself in sticky situations because he's a fool, right? He don't know how to hold his tongue, right? Because a wise man know how to hold his tongue, right? He knows when to speak and knows when not to speak. Let's get a precept on that, right? Get a hold of it. Because we gotta know, you gotta know, as a wise man, you gotta know when to speak and when not to speak. But a fool, he not gonna care. A fool not gonna care. He gonna put himself in a predicament, right? The fool's gonna put himself in a situation, right? Right. But a wise man is gonna know how to operate in various situations, right? Because he's using the precepts, right? It says, let's get this. Says this is the book of Sirach, chapter 20, verse 1. There is a proof that is not company. Again, some man holdeth his tongue and is wise. So some man he hold his tongue and he's seen as wise, but still a fool, he gonna say anything. He gonna say anything that comes in his mind, right? And thus he putting himself in predicaments, right? Let's get some more on that. On different situations that a fool could get himself into, right? It says, whoo, this mean right here. It says, he that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. So you can't even be buddied up with damn fools, man. This says the companions of fools gonna be destroyed, right? And you want to surround yourself with wise men, right? But you also don't want to be that fool. Because guess what? Ain't no wise man trying to kick the bubble with a fool, right? You don't want to be in this thing and you overthrow yourself because you've been a fool, right? Because no wise man is not going to kick it with you. He's not trying to study with you. He's not going to talk about precepts with you. Why? Because you act like a fool, right? So a lot of stuff come with being a fool. A lot of bad things. Nothing good comes from being a fool, right? And in order to not be a fool, you got to be wise. But the only way you can get wisdom is by keeping the commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? Let's get some more now. Let's see. Let's get something else. Woo, let's get this right here. It's Proverbs 19 and 29. It says, judgments are prepared for scorners and stripes for the back of fools, right? So the fool has destruction, right? His companion's going to be destroyed. His mouth calleth for strokes, right? He got stripes, right? He got stripes prepared for his back, right? Because the fool is not trying to keep the commandment. A fool is not trying to walk in integrity. A fool is not trying to examine himself, right? That's what a fool does, right? The ways of a fool is folly, right? And madness, right? So let's go back to what was that? Here, right? Verse 12, Sirach, chapter 22 and verse 12. It says, 7 days do men mourn for him that is dead, but for a fool and an ungodly man all the days of his life. So all the days of a fool's life is mournful, right? Because they know the destruction, right? Because once somebody, they said 7 days they mourn for somebody that's dead, but a fool all his life. The fool and ungodly man all his life. Why? Because they're finished. They're ruined, right? Their latter end is destruction, right? Why? Because they're not moving in wisdom, right? When you moving in wisdom, it protects you from different situations. It puts you in different situations, right? You might have been in a situation that kind of prevented you from being in a bad or a worse situation, and you use wisdom through the spirit of Yahweh Shai, and you avoided it, right? But a fool, right, he gonna fall right into destruction, right? He gonna fall into a trap, right? So it's imperative as men and women that we got to get understanding in order to not be seen as fools, right? So let's go to back to Psalms 19. Right. It says, this right here says, we can go to we can start at verse 102. It says, Psalms 119 and 102, it says, I have not departed from thy judgment, for thou hast taught me. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. So through the precepts you get understanding, right? Keeping the precepts of Yahweh Shemel shot through the precept upon precept, right? Let's go to it. And this is also how you get wisdom in this thing too, because everything has to be precept upon precept, right? Let's get the classic. Because you might say, well, hey, I don't understand this Bible. I don't understand where you're getting this from, where you're getting that from. It got to be from precept upon precept. But let's go to it. This is a classic. Book of Isaiah chapter 28, verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk, drawn from the breast, right? So you're trying to get it says, whom shall he teach knowledge, right? Whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast, right? So one of the major things, important things, is coming in as a babe, right? Humbling yourself, right? Because a child doesn't know much, right? So they soak in a lot of knowledge, right? They always observing, they always looking at this, they always looking at that, trying to figure out how this and that works, right? Soaking in knowledge, right? And that's how we got to be in this thing, right? We got to come in as babes, right? The milk, that's the commandments, right? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 5. It says, for when time ye ought to be teachers, right? You have one teach you again, right? Because you got some people, right? They get this thing, right? They want to jump straight. I want to jump straight to teaching. I want to go out. I want to preach the word of God. I want to do this. I want to do that. But you gotta be taught, right? Which be the first principle of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk and not strong meat. So we need the milk first before we get the strong meat, right? The strong meat will be the deep dark parables, right? The parables, the wise sayings, right? These things will be the strong meat, right? But we need the milk, right? The milk is gonna take us a long way. That milk is what's gonna nourish us, right? That milk is gonna get us to start to grow in this thing, right? And so understanding the milk, that's how you're gonna grow, right? So everyone that use of milk, what that see that word mean? Right there. It says be a partaker to be a partaker to become to partake. Right. Salakia. For everyone that partake or use of milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, he is a babe. Right? So we gotta start off yet again as babes and things. But Kyrian says, be strong, but strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even though those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. So by you getting the milk, getting the understanding, right? And you growing, and then you getting the bread, right? You getting the meat, right? All these things hone in on your discernment, right? Being able to discern between good and evil, and these are vital things in being a wise man. Because see, a fool has bad discernment. A fool has bad discernment, right? They're gonna make all they don't know what's going on, right? They can't discern the left from the right, right? But in gaining wisdom, you definitely want to gain discernment, right? Discerning is a very beautiful tool along in this walk, right? And it comes from, right, and to enhance your discernment skills, right, you got to start with the milk first, and then you graduate up, right? And as you do that over time by graduating up, right, and it all starts with keeping the commandments. The more you keep the commandments, the more you understand. The more you read, the more you pray, the more you understand, right? But it starts with really honing in on the basics. Honing in on the basics is going to take you a long way in the truth, right? And it's going to enhance your wisdom, right? Versus somebody that just jumps straight to, I want to get into prophecy, I want to get to the deep dark sayings, and they're jumping straight in, and they're bypassing the milk. Thus, they're gonna be unskillful in the word. They ain't gonna really know what they're talking about. They ain't really gonna understand because they don't know the precept upon precept, right? They don't know these things, right? They just trying to jump straight in, right? Versus, hold on, let me get into the law, right? Because that's the milk. Knowing what's required of you, right? Because when we go to the book of Psalms, chapter 119, Psalms 111, right? When you go there, Psalms 111, and you go to verse 10, it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So by you fearing the Lord, this is the beginning. This is the beginning stages, right, of gaining wisdom, right? It says, understanding have all they that do his commandments, right? And to understand, you got to keep the commandments. So it reverts back to boom. If you want it, and you want to get the understanding, you got to keep the commandments. These are the first things you need to be trying to be doing. And thus, by doing these things and honing in on these things, right, you enhance your wisdom. You enhance your discernment, right? Because you're keeping on the commandments, right? Like David said, we go back, right? And David was a wise man. It said that David moved with wisdom. Let's get that first. Let me get that first. David moved with wisdom, right? And how did he get that wisdom? Keeping the commandments. David was a wise man. Let's see this. Let me see. Let me see if we can get this precept though. So we can see that David, right, how he walked, how he lived his life was he moved with wisdom, right? He had discernment, right? He had all these things, right? But it started with him keeping the commandments, right? That's how it starts off, right? What is it? Bear with me. All right. I'm gonna look for that precept, but until then, I'm gonna go to Psalms right quick. I'm gonna go to Psalms real fast. Then I'm gonna get that precept though, cause I want to get that. But I'm gonna go to the Psalms real fast first. All right. Back to Psalms 119 and verse number 99. Right? It says, I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are a meditation. I understand more than ancient because I keep thy precepts. Right? Talking about this understanding. Right? Through thy precepts I get understanding. So David is letting you know, like, hey, and he's talking, this is the whole psalm that he's building up, right? Speaking to the Lord. right? But if we read these things, right, we understand that by him getting his wisdom, it revolves around these things, these very things, keeping the commandments, keeping the precepts, right, meditating on the testimony of Yahweh Shem Shai, right? It says let's go to verse 130. It says, the entrance of thy words give light, it giveth understanding unto the simple. Right? So the words of Yahweh Shem Shai, this would give you understanding. It's not you going to Harvard, right? It's not you going to Yale. It's not you going to Dartmouth or Dartmouth, what that school is. These things not gonna give you wisdom. They're not gonna give you understanding, right? Understanding comes from keeping the commandments of Yahweh Shem Shai. That's true wisdom and understanding, right? That's the wisdom and knowledge of what you can gain at Yale or Harvard. These things are on the left hand side. They're not even compared to what you can gain from the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Shem Shai, right? So let's see if I can find this precept, right, about David, right? I want to see if I can get that. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see. All right. Matter of fact, let's see if we can find this. Cause I really want to find it, because we gotta look at our forefathers, right? Let's go to Sirach. The reason why I'm doing this, because let's go to Sirach chapter 39, right? It says, this Sirach 39:1 says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies, right? So David, he will be considered an ancient, right? So we got to go into this Bible. We got to seek out the wisdom of all the ancients, right? We got a whole lot of wise forefathers in this book, right? We got to seek out the wisdom that they kind of put in there through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. Because the Lord used them to put these things in there. They didn't write these things for no reason, right? The Lord put in their spirit to write these things, right? And then we read about them. We read these different accounts, right? And we see the wisdom that the Lord has placed in them, right? Let me see if I find this joint, man. Let me see. Bear with me. All right, so we're gonna go to the book of First Samuel, chapter 16, right? And it says, I want to say it's either. Let's go to the next chapter. Let's go to the next chapter. Show y'all where I'm at. Let's try 18. Yeah, there it is. Okay, that's the spirit. Okay. 1 Samuel 18:5. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him and behaved himself wisely. So David behaved himself wisely, right? And that's how we gotta be. Wherever we go, we gotta behave ourselves wisely, right? But you're not gonna move in wisdom if you're not keeping the commandments. You're not gonna move in wisdom if you're not meditating on the precepts, right? Thus, you're gonna be behaving like a fool, right? So we got to be like our mighty forefathers, right? And move wisely, behave wisely wherever we go, right? When you at home, behave wisely. When you at work, behave wisely, right? But it starts with you doing this, the basics, keeping the commandments, right? Psalms 111 and 10. Simple, right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, a good understanding of all they that do his commandments. His praise endure forever. So let me get this let me get this classic precept, then I'm gonna close out. Well, I'm gonna get two more precepts, right? Right. It's I'm gonna get these two right here. Proverbs 4 and 5 says, get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Right. So it says, get wisdom, get understanding. But to get understanding, you gotta keep the commandments. To get wisdom, you gotta figure out about Shem Yahushua. Right? So that's how you get it. Fearing the Most High. This is basic knowledge as a Hebrew Israelite that we need to be honing in. Even though it's the basic knowledge, that's the thing that we need to focus on more. Right? We might talk about this a lot. We need to talk about it a lot. We need to keep this in our head. We need to have this refreshed in our minds. Constantly want to get wisdom. Constantly want to get understanding. Because once you start losing sight of that, right, of getting wisdom, to get understanding, fearing the Most High, keeping the command, once you start losing sight of that, then you start to fall off in this thing, right? It says wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get this verse 7 on Proverbs 4:7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. So the path to wisdom is simple. Figure out about Shem Yahushua. Keep his commandments. Simple. Right? So Lord willing, that was before I get that, I'm gonna get another precept, classic precept. Psalms 50. 22. Now consider this. You that forget God, lest I tear you in pieces and there be none to deliver. So don't forget the fear of the Lord. Don't forget the keeping the commandments, right? Getting wisdom, the principal things, right? All these things revolve your how about Shem Yahushua. Don't forget him, right? Because if you do, Lord said, I'll tear you to pieces. Lord will utterly destroy you, right? So with that, man, I want to give all honor and glory to your how about Shem Yahushua. Lord willing, that was edifying through the Spirit, right? Just some early morning meditation I'm going to think about to get into, right? But shalom.